Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are listening to the audiobook of Above the Clouds, Below the Stars, and we are currently at chapter 3, An Unforeseen Friend. I hope you enjoyed this reading. My next flight was to Philadelphia, one of those long, punishing US sectors that could test the patience of even the most seasoned crew. The kind of flight where the passenger list reads like a melting pot of needs. Crying babies, tired parents, students hauling half of their dorm rooms in carry-ons, and elderly couples with stories that spill out faster than the coffee. I had done enough of these to know. It's not just a flight, it's a marathon. On paper, it's 15 hours. In reality, it's the longest day of your life, squeezed into a metal tube at 37,000 feet. Sometimes the wheelchair requests alone cross 100, and that's not an exaggeration. By the end of those flights, the uniform feels heavier, the smile feels rehearsed, and the voice develops that extra pitch that says, I'm fine, but also I'm counting the hours until landing. Like every day, I followed the ritual. Hair pinned, lipstick precise, uniform crisp, my armor of the day. By the time I stepped into the crew briefing room, I was ready to switch on work mode. The room smelled faintly of coffee and freshly printed flight paperwork. One seat was empty, the one right beside a girl from India. I slipped into it, my notebook placed neatly on my table. The lead crew hadn't arrived yet, so the air was filled with low chatter and the occasional nervous laugh from new joiners. She was the one to break the ice. Hey, how are you? It was the usual icebreaker, harmless enough. I smiled politely and replied, and before I knew it, she had rolled straight into the next question. Are you in economy or business? I'm working in the business class today, I said. Just started 3 weeks ago, I added. Her eyes lit up. Oh, my friend too. He had also just started. Do you know him? I shook my head lightly. I'm not sure. She leaned in, voice dropping a little as though about a sharing secret. His name's Raghav. You might know him. My eyebrows lifted slightly. Ah, maybe. I'm not sure if we are talking about the same person though. I tried ending the conversation. That should have been the end of it, but she wasn't the kind to take hints. You have pictures from training, right? Show me, show me. She was excited. It was oddly forward for someone I had known less than 2 minutes. She was prying into a part of my personal space I wasn't ready to share. I'm Sherry, by the way, she added casually, as though that might make her persistence more acceptable. She was a little chubby, with dark hair and dusky skin. I found her personality quite irritating. I forced a thin smile. Let's focus on the flight first, Sherry. We can talk later during the layover. But she wasn't letting it go. She tilted her head, smile fixed, insistence growing. Come on, just show me. I'm sure it's him. I remained silent. Actually, wait. I have a picture from last night. Let me show you. She opened her phone. It's him, right? She asked curiously, showing her phone to me. I took a look and said, yes, I might know him. See, I told you, he's my best friend, she said. I smiled lightly, mostly to mask my discomfort. Oh, great, tell him I said hi. He'll remember my name for sure. Some special reason? I said. She leaned back, eyes glinted. Oh, I know. Something in her tone froze me for a split second. You know? Sherry nodded, almost gleefully. It's about your assessment, right? He told me the whole story. He felt so terrible about it. I blinked, unsure whether to laugh frown, or simply stare. He told you? Yes, we were on a video call. Here, she held up her phone like a trophy, swiping until a paused frame of Raghav's face filled the screen. See, this was the call. He was telling me everything, hours of it. There it was, my own private, bruising little chapter from weeks ago, now replayed on a stranger's device like it was some casual entertainment. She said it with pride, as though knowing someone else's embarrassment was some sort of social currency. I managed a polite smile, but inside something twisted. There's a difference between someone being there for you in your lowest moment and someone turning your lowest moment into a conversational piece. It's a courtesy, isn't it, to keep people's vulnerabilities safe? Apparently not for Sherry. I wasn't sure what she wanted to prove, that she was close enough to him to know his confidences, or that she could make me squirm in the middle of a briefing room. Either way, it was the kind of unnecessary pity energy that I tried to avoid in my life. Just then, like divine intervention, the lead crew walked in. Papers rustled, chairs shifted, and the attention in the room scattered. Thank God, I muttered under my breath, shifting my focus to the safety briefing. But Raghav, the thought of him kept circling in my head like a plane in a holding pattern. I had trusted him, maybe not with everything, but enough to believe he'd understand that some moments are meant to stay between the people who lived them. Now that trust felt dented, bruised in a way I wasn't ready to admit to him yet. Sherry's constant little interruptions only made it worse. It was as though she had appointed herself the official spokesperson for Raghav, dropping his name into every other sentence, making it impossible to escape the association. By the time we reached the hotel in Philadelphia, I was exhausted, not from the 14-hour flight, but from the sheer weight of holding in my irritation. For the first time, a crew became the reason for my fatigue. The lobby smelled faintly of polished wood. The glass door slid open with a polite hush, but inside my mind, it wasn't quiet at all. I just wanted my room key, a hot shower, and the luxury of not hearing Raghav's name for the rest of the night. Morning in Philadelphia felt like waking up inside a postcard, the pale winter light spilling in through half drawn curtains. The city was sealed far away from the hotel. But even that quiet couldn't untangle the knot in my chest. Jet lag has a way of making everything heavier, your limbs, your thoughts, your patience. I wrapped myself in the hotel's oversized robe, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at the complimentary coffee machine like it owed me an apology. The air smelled faintly of roasted beans, but even caffeine couldn't fix what was running circles in my head. My phone buzzed. Of course, Sherry. Good morning. Are you coming out? Raghav messaged me again last night. I set the phone down without replying her message. Not because I didn't want to talk, but because I really didn't want to talk about him. Not today, not while the sting was still fresh. There's something uniquely exhausting about a person who doesn't understand unspoken boundaries. It's not that she was cruel. No, Sherry was too wrapped up in her own excitement to notice she was treading all over mine. Maybe she thought she was being friendly, maybe she thought she was bonding, but to me it felt like she was peeling the scab off a wound that hadn't even had time to close. I showered, dressed up, and headed downstairs, planning to grab a quick coffee from the shop across the street. The lobby smelled warm and toasty, like fresh pastries. I was almost out the door when I heard, "Hey, wait up!" Sherry trotting toward me with that same bright, unstoppable energy. Before I could even smile politely, she launched into it. So Raghav said, I cut her off with a tight laugh. Sherry, Maybe we don't need to talk about him every second of the day. She blinked, surprised, but then shrugged, unfazed. Okay, but I still think it's sweet that he still feels bad about it. Sweet. That word clanged in my head like a dropped tray. It wasn't sweet, it was careless. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I wasn't just upset at Sherry for telling me. I was upset at Raghav for giving her something to tell her in the first place. And just like that, the city around me felt colder. The flight pack was full, but at least Sherry was tucked far away in economy, leaving me space to breathe. First class was busy, enough to keep my hand moving and my mind occupied. But every time I passed the galley she worked at, I'd hear her laughter carry up from the back, and without fail, Raghav's name would float in the conversation like a stubborn echo I couldn't shake off. By the time we landed, I had already been made up my mind. The next time I saw Raghav, if I ever did, he'd hear an earful. I headed home, grateful for the silence. No sharing, no overheard conversations, just the city passing by in blood lights. Once inside, I freshened up, letting the hot shower rinse away the fatigue of the day. When I finally reached for my phone, a new message blinked on the screen. It was from Raghav. For a moment, I just stared. I didn't remember ever giving him my number. Did he somehow sense I was angry? Or had Sherry already gone running to him with everything? My mind spun through the possibilities as I opened the chat. Hello, this is Raghav. How are you? Very formal, exactly like the Raghav I knew. I replied instantly. How did you get my number? Did Sherry give it to you? A pause. Then his reply came. Sherry? How do you know Sherry? I didn't bother with more texts. I called him instead. Not because I wanted to hear his voice, but because I was too angry to type. I was ready to let the frustration spill out. But somehow, when he picked up, I kept my tone level. How did you get my number? I asked, steady but firm. From the group chat, he said simply. Some of my irritation ebbed away. Maybe it wasn't Sherry this time. Still, something about her managed to gnaw at me in ways I couldn't explain. Now calmer, I asked how he had been. He said he'd actually called to check if my reassessment had gone well and to see if he could take me out for a meal. Ah, there it was. Raghav, I did fine on my reassessment, I said, letting a small smile slip into my voice. Thank you for asking. But as for the meal, I don't really eat outside. I'm more of an indoor person. He didn't give up. Is there anything else we could do? Anywhere else we could go then? He asked. I paused. I'll let you know later. Alright, he hesitated. Can we be friends, please? Okay, I said. For all I knew, friendships never hurt. My anger faded, taking the thought of Sherry with it. We talked a little longer about the latest circulars and in flight stories. As we hung up, I got a text from Joey. Are you free tonight? I felt a different attachment towards him. Maybe it was a crush, or maybe it wasn't. I was still not sure. Although I was free that night, I preferred to spend my time alone. Oh, I have plans. Some other day, I replied. He simply replied with a thumbs up. I felt sad rejecting his offer, but I spent my day off with a fantasy novel at my favorite spot in the garden. I have always loved spending time with myself. It felt comfortable and free. My next flight awaited, reminding me of what I had signed up for. And so the next morning, I stood in front of the mirror, staring at the uniform laid out on the chair like an unspoken command. Slowly, carefully, I put it on. White shirt crisp, scarf knotted perfectly, jacket brushed clean, shoes polished to shine. As the final button slid into place, I caught my reflection and paused. It was the professional crew, the one who carried grace in her posture and fire in her eyes. A wave of quiet pride rose in me as I stood taller, straightened my shoulders, and whispered to myself, "You belong to the skies, not to anyone's shadow." And just like that, chapter 3 comes to an end. I'll see you in chapter 4 in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.